Hello once again. I am Doc Rotten, and this is Horror News Radio, the official Gruesome Magazine podcast. Back with me again this week are the scariest, goriest, bloodiest co-hosts on the internet. Starting off with Dave Dreher. He is the lead news writer at Gruesome Magazine. Dave, say hello, sir.
Hello. I think we should be scary, bloody, and gory now that we're on, video.
Yeah, I'm. Okay. I'll go with that.
Hire us a special effects artist. We need our own looks.
Yes.
Snapchat filter for that.
Oh, I don't know where to take that. All right. Also joining us is award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Moore. Chris, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing good. Oh, there's an alien. He just teleported. Oh, okay.
Did you do the effects for the movie we just seen?
I think that was a little bit better. No. No, I'm kidding. Or am I? Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm a superstar, motherfucking superstar. My new favorite song from a film we're about to review.
That, and he's got an alien in his pants. All right. Also joining us is...
That's why the women love me.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Also joining us is podcasting rock star, international cosplay queen, trying to recover from the alien in the pants. How you doing, Vanessa?
I have no idea what to say. And then I look over here, and it looks like Morty's got a little heart on, or Rick's got a little heart on.
Oh, yes.
Oh, it does.
We
Yeah.
should put that down.
I didn't even notice that.
No wonder he was smiling. All right.
That's why he's so happy.
Yeah, see, this is the advantage.
You know what we got to do as we review the movies. If Morty's got a heart on, we know it's a good review. And if Morty, if he's flaccid, then we know it's a bad review.
Oh man,
I don't know if that.
It's going to give a whole new meaning to half mass. That's all it is. All right,
we give this film 6 correct Mortys.
Oh, stop, you guys! This is embarrassing. All right, we are going to review the film Useless Humans. They are going to shoot us for this intro. All right, let's find out about the film. It is from director Stephen Ohl. It is coming from Quiver, distribution available July 14th, 2020. It's written by Travis Betz, George Caine, Kevin Hamadani, Stephen Ohl, and Ryan Scaringe. Is that right? Scaringe? Ryan, write me. All right, the cast includes Josh Zuckerman, Rusty Kota, Davida Williams, Luke Youngblood, Iqbal Thiba, Joey Kern. Did I screw that up?
I don't know. You just said it funny. I like
Eddie Ganim and Maya Kazan. I feel like I screwed up. I screwed it all up. It would help if I prepared. All right, humanity's lost. Humanity's last hope is completely hopeless, and so am I. The Synopsis goes, a 30th birthday and the survival of mankind are left hanging in the balance after a mysterious creature crashes the party, forcing our 4 childhood friends to save the night. Yes, that's what we're talking about tonight. It's a horror comedy, and who likes horror comedy more than the one and only Christopher G. Moore? So he's up first. Christopher, what is your first impressions of Useless Humans?
I enjoyed parts of it. I think as a horror comedy, it tries a little too hard, and I think a lot of that trying too hard part sort of can take you out of the film to where it feels like they're trying to inject so much humor into it. But I think and a lot of that's probably down to the witty dialogue and certain characters and stuff. But I mean, I still think there's some parts that I enjoyed. I really love the part where they go through the years of them saying they're not going to be able to show up for this yearly get together. And I love the way it's shot. And there's even a shot where they basically stole it from the 70s show. Where, smoking, except it's a little bit more faster version of it. And I think there's parts of that they try to be very Edgar Wright in how they go about it, but it's not as effective. But there was still some parts that made me laugh out loud. I think there's a couple of I think one of my favorite dialogue parts is where the the girl's boyfriend is getting on him for telling her about the dick pic, and he's like, what was it? Dick pics are like sending your resume out when you still have a job. It's not really cheating, which I laughed out loud about that. But I don't know. I think, but then on the other hand, there were parts that didn't feel like that they were confident in their ability to shoot certain action sequences, and I think the alien thing was okay. Because they had some really good, like the what I call the metal football part, egg thingy, which they call it a football, which I'm glad, because I was like, this looks like just a football. It's like a football monument or something. And then the alien is just basically your normal alien thing, except for like maybe glowing orbs on the sides, and they could make the eyes like open and close. It felt a little bit like, I hate to compare this, but I don't know if you saw the scary movie that was directed by David Zucker, where they had aliens at the end. It was like the parody of Signs. It felt a little bit like that.
It did. Yeah.
So there's limitations to that. So yeah, as a horror comedy, I think it's one of those things where it feels like it too much. To where them working so hard to sort of make quirky characters and create quirky situations, and then they try to be a little bit too like, I don't know the right word for it, a little too cool for school, like the scene where they're getting ready, they're getting their weapons, and they play that superstar, they have like the glowing lights, and then they make fun of the fact that there's smoke in the house, so it almost breaks the fourth wall, things like that kind of like took me out. But then they use like Stranger Things music that sounds like Stranger Things music during their montage A-Team, let's put this together scene. So yeah, it felt a little bit like, yeah, if you took Signs and you mixed it with like Shaun of the Dead, but not as successful. So yeah, I enjoyed parts of it, but for the most part, I don't think it works effectively as a horror comedy, a horror sci-fi comedy, that is.
Yeah, sci-fi's heavier than horror.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. Okay. I get where you're coming from. Let's find out if the rest of the crew agree with you or worse. All right, Vanessa, you're up next. What's your first impression of Useless Humans?
I wasn't the biggest fan of this movie.
You weren't the biggest fan.
No, and I hate, ever saying anything negative, but I just feel like these characters were not very well developed. Somebody decided that they had an idea and they wanted to make a movie, and they're like, we're going to have the fuck up character. We're going to have the vapid bitch character who only cares about her career. We're going to have this stupid throwaway character because it'll be funny to make fun of him. We're going to have this other dumb character. Like, you just pulled a bunch of these vanilla kind of characters that you see around in other movies, especially in horror, put them together and didn't develop them whatsoever. Like, the women especially were driving me freaking crazy, because you can tell this movie was written by 4 dudes. Just so glaringly vapid and empty and shallow, and who at one point, I think the doctor has an opinion about something. I'm like, why? What are you? You are no person. You have not been developed as a person whatsoever. And that makes it really hard for me to engage in a movie, whether you're trying to be funny and keep it light or whatever. Shaun of the Dead, at least you care about the characters. Evil Dead out in the freaking woods doing creepy stuff. That movie was insane when it first came out. Nobody knew what was going on, but yet at least you cared about the characters. They were funny. They were weird. They had things about them that you could latch onto. And this just doesn't have that at all. Like, if I had to choose to be one of these female characters, I would say none, because I be the alien and leave this place. Because it's just really disappointing to watch a movie that feels that way. And it had some parts that were good. It had a few good special effects. I didn't hate the alien guy, and I tried to get on board with the humor. I really did. But when you're meta inside of meta, it just isn't funny anymore, because you've destroyed the joke that you're trying to make a joke out of that that's in a joke. Like, take one road, you know. Don't try to take all the roads at the same time, because clearly it doesn't work.
They over joked the joke.
What was up with the two women that weren't really
The ones that worked for
Yeah, that
Dave
whole
Royal.
side story didn't make any
No,
sense to
it
me.
made no sense at all. And if it's your political statement that you're trying to make, fine, but like, well, that's my first impression.
We should say that there's 4 friends, which are 3 males and 1 female, and then there's a pair of females that are after the alien, and they're hired by a mysterious company, which you may or may not have heard the reveal earlier. And it's not a big reveal anyway, but and then of course we have the alien, and then we have a 5th another male character who's a boyfriend, and he's he is what he is. But before we find out, okay, so things are looking dire. So maybe Dave can come in here and salvage this. Maybe Dave loves us. Let's find out. Dave.
Come on, Dave.
What is your first impression of Useless Humans?
It is a useless movie.
Oh,
a lot of times I blame these things on my advanced age as the grandpa of this group. Sometimes things go over my head. I definitely seen it. It's funny that both of my esteemed colleagues compared this to an Edgar Wright film and mentioned Shaun of the Dead. And it really seemed that that's what they were trying to do with this. They wanted to be witty and funny and original, and they're none of that. Everything, I don't know, it just came across as completely stupid. It was not well written. It almost seems like a large bulk of it was just done off the cuff. I can't believe somebody actually scripted that crap. I find that very hard to believe.
Mentioned 5 people, right? All right.
Yeah, there was just nothing there. And again, granted, some of it may be the fact that I don't think this is tailored to my age group. Mm-hmm. I'm sure a lot of the supposed jokes went over my head, because I just didn't understand them. But even the ones I did understand, I was like, oh wow, well that was just bad. That was just not good at all. So I was hoping maybe the alien would save the day, but that didn't work out either. I found myself just thoroughly unenjoying this movie.
Wow.
100%. Yeah. There, again, you hate to discourage it or disparage it too much because, they got it made. They obviously worked hard at it. I'm sure there's an audience for it out there somewhere. I'm just not included in that audience.
No. So there's a lot of truth to what you 3 are saying. However, I enjoyed this movie a little bit more than all 3 of you. I had fun. And I had fun once I realized it basically was an hour and a half long sitcom. It really isn't a movie in that respect. It's more of this funny sitcom, or intending to be funny, a sitcom about these 4 people and what happens around them. Because the jokes are they're kind of all over the place, right? Sometimes they're they're supposed to be witty dialogue jokes. Sometimes they're zany pratfall kind of jokes, or really over the top, or fourth wall breaking jokes. So you really can't get a tone of it. So it feels kind of, I don't know. For me, it felt like a television sitcom ish.
With a laugh, you mean with a laugh track?
Well, but it didn't really have it wanted a laugh track. It wanted a laugh track. But I kind of thought in its silliness, I started kind of settling into the silly characters. I liked the stoner dude. I kind of thought he was funny, always wanting his beers. And the alien cracked me up. Even with his zipping, so he kind of teleports around. That's a minor spoiler, and I thought that was kind of goofy and funny. I mean, he's kind of like that rubber monster thing, even when his hands are coming at you, you see his fingers wiggling around when they, but at the same time, it was kind of like, okay, if this was, this zany sitcom, like a horror
Alf.
Yeah, well, maybe Alf. I was thinking 70s show. Somebody mentioned 70s show.
It might have worked if they'd made him Roger from American Dad. Then it might have been funny.
See,
Yeah.
Oh my God, that would have been hilarious.
Well,
it was just missing that that charismatic lead character that can carry a show like this, right?
Well, you mentioned that, and I want to just jump on that and say that lead, he's not a bad actor, and the way that he was playing that role would have suited a Herbert West so well. He had that look, that kind of attitude. And even if this movie had more of that to it, because you're dealing with the supernatural things that could be, cosmic in that respect. And I just think I saw a lot of promise and hope in that. And I don't know if they maybe go in that direction with that guy, or that actor goes in that direction, I think he could find some success.
Well, I don't think anybody was particularly bad. I thought all the actors, were fine in their parts. Some of them better than others, for certain. Like I said, I enjoyed the stoner guy. I enjoyed the lead. I thought the lead girl, I think it's Davida Williams, right? Am I right about that? I think she was really good. I liked her quite a bit. And I thought the chemistry between the leads was strong enough to carry that, the tension and the way they liked each other, but they wouldn't admit it. I think that's one of the running gags that actually worked for me. Some of them maybe didn't.
Well, did you guys watch through the credits with the bloopers and stuff?
Yes.
I did not.
The dancing alien was funny.
I could not turn it off fast enough.
Well,
oh yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Well, the thing is, Dave, there's parts that almost feel like they improvise certain lines. So you might be right. Even though there's 4 different writers, they might have improvised on set. Although I would say the funniest part was probably the alien in the blooper thing, where he's going around acting like the set is his. Like when they're on MTV, like, this is where the magic happens. This is my crib. It's like, this is my sound guy. And this is, it's a pretty, that's probably one of the funniest parts in the movie. Although I will say that I did like the Superstar song. I think is probably the best, one of the best things that comes out of it.
I know, it sounds like The Weeknd. It sounds like a song
which I actually looked it up. You can find it on iTunes. I think it's the group's called I Addicts. But because I think it kind of, even though the one scene was kind of silly, and they used the song again in the end credits with the animated type stuff, just that song gives a little bit of legitimacy to the movie, because a lot of times when you incorporate songs by artists you might not know, it either doesn't sound right or it sounds like a something that's a parody of something else. But that one actually was a kind of a cool song that added to it. Even when things aren't as much, and if you want to see a better sitcom or TV show, go watch Edgar Wright's Spaced, which does a better job of fleshing out characters and making characters at all, or each individual, and make you laugh, and also parodies other things, other sci-fi and genre properties. Which this one, you can sort of see you can see wearing his loves on his sleeve when it comes to certain things, like the 70s show scene where the camera moves around. You see like the wish pans to other scenes, which Edgar Wright does a lot. So you see that in a lot of scenes. And you can see these really trying really hard, but a lot of times you have to make them your own. Otherwise it just feels, you just look at it and it's like, Edgar Wright did it better, or that 70s show did it better, or this did it better. And so I could see that they're trying hard, but it really didn't hit. As somebody that loves horror comedies a lot, most of my zombie films that I like are mostly horror comedies, like things like Cooties, which do a better job with individual characters. Something about this seemed a little bit missing, and maybe it's just, I don't know if it's just everything didn't click or whatever. I mean, but there were still parts that I enjoyed and made me laugh, like the boyfriend character made me laugh a lot because I hate those sort of like stereotypical hippie idiots that think they're better, and then they're usually total douchebags.
Hey, like, man, you only had one drink. Dave. Now there's not a whole lot of special effects other than Alien, but there is a pretty interesting scene where they glue together the claw marks. Did that work? I mean, did they do a good job there at least, or was there anything?
Yeah, they did an admirable job there. Yeah, it was okay. I'd actually forgotten about that scene. So yeah.
I mean, because otherwise, a lot of the stuff it's off screen, right? We don't get to see.
You don't see much or most of it.
Yeah. Vanessa, you let's talk about the three ladies in this film. Ladies, you were giving them some grief earlier on. Do you want to kind of wrap this discussion up with what? Okay, you said you could tell they were written by dudes, and.
Well, first of all, the fact that she had a boyfriend that she brought with her, I just wanted to throw up. Like, I understand what you're doing to bring in that other character and the conflict you're trying to create, but if everyone can see that from a mile away, it completely takes away any agency from that character, because she's brought a man with her who, from the moment that she brought him, had more screen time than her and more dialogue than her. I just have a woman on your writing staff. Just one. If you have 5 dudes, you can fit one woman in there, and she can tell you, yeah, that's not something we would say. We wouldn't start a petty argument in the middle of an alien invasion, regardless of how funny you think that is. Like, it's almost insulting to throw those characters in there like you have a badass female character. And okay, maybe it's funny that her name is Chum because she chums the waters or whatever it was that tie-in was. But, and then I don't know. I just don't think that we're past the time where these characters, these stereotypical characters, are funny anymore. And that seems like what every character in this movie was, to the greatest extent, the women.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's I see what you're saying there. I really do. I really do. And I don't know. I can't add anything to it because you got it right. Right. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. What do you say? Let's give our final thoughts, our scores 1 through 5, and our favorite scene. But before we do that, if you are enjoying what you're seeing here, and I hope the directors, if anybody from the film is watching it, they're still enjoying our discussion, please subscribe below. Please hit the like button, and give us some comments. If you've seen the movie, let us know what we're missing. Where did it strike gold, and maybe we glanced the other way at that second, or something along those lines. But let us know. All right, so let's dive into this. We'll go in the same order. Christopher, you're up first. What's your final thoughts? Your score, favorite scene for Useless Humans?
Well, horror comedies can always be a mixed bag. It's always really hard sometimes it's hard enough to do a horror film sometimes, but to add comedy, you really have to be very particular in how you go about it. And I think they tried their best to deliver the comedy through a lot of the dialogue and the situations and stuff, but it didn't really gel as much as what it should. So as much as they tried to be so witty, but then it became just it became a little bit too obvious of what they were trying to do. So yeah, the parts of it I thought were funny. There were parts that were kind of interesting, and I do appreciate them trying to be very visually interesting in certain scenes, which kind of worked. But overall, as a horror comedy, I don't think it's as effective as what it should be, and it feels kind of pale in comparison to a lot of things that it's trying to riff on or be influenced by. So yeah, I was kind of disappointed as somebody who loves a good horror comedy, because if you want to watch an indie film, Book of Monsters, if you ever get a chance to see that is a good example of how you do something that involves a horror film with comedy elements where you actually care about the characters a whole lot more, and they're a little bit more fleshed out than what you find in this. As for favorite scene. I don't know. Even though it's kind of cheesy and was out of left field, I kind of like the them getting ready to battle and them getting their weapons and the superstar. I'm a motherfucking superstar.
Yes.
I want to. Anytime I leave the house, I just want to play that so my neighbors think I'm a badass, or they just think I'm so weirdo, which they probably already think. And they say, "Shut your damn music off." As for rating, I'll give it a 2.25.
Okay, that's better than I was
And
expecting.
I'll be fair about it because I've seen my glut of card comedies that didn't work. There was a movie that I grew up watching. You ever seen Pandemonium? Which is like a horror slasher parody from the 80s.
Yes.
And I finally watched a little bit on YouTube. I was like, oh God, why did I like this as a kid? It's horrible. So yeah, sometimes horror comedies are just don't work in the right way. And so, but I did laugh in certain parts. I did find certain parts to be funny. I thought the drunk guy I thought was pretty funny. Yeah, I don't hate it or anything. I just feel like it had more opportunities and possibilities to do a better job of delivering the comedy aspect of it, and it was a little bit scattershot in that respect.
All right. Well, let's find out what Vanessa thought next. Vanessa, what is your final thoughts and your score? Favorite scene for you?
I'm not going to belabor the point of its shortcomings. I did like the tone. I'll say that it tried to stick to like this kind of Spielbergian tone at times, and I really did like that. And I just wish it hadn't stepped back on itself so many times, because it had points that would have been really good and really memorable, but then it made a joke out of them, and then the joke wasn't funny, and that kind of just messes up the sentiment you had and the joke. So it's double whammy of a kind of failure there, and it's a bit disappointing to watch. But I feel like this is a really good stepping stone to a next project. I think there's a lot of things that you can learn about what people like, what they want to see, what is outdated as far as themes go. I think, onward and upward to those involved. But I'm going to give this one a 1.5, only because I actually didn't hate that little alien guy. I think he could have done really well used differently, or, go Ginger Dead Man funny, like go all the way with a character like that. And that you get endearment that way. And it was just lacking that. Dave saying I can't remember his name, but the alien from American Dad, like that's why we love him, because he's such a sassy bitch. And right. when you get moments where the alien is doing little things like that, where it feels a little bit more just not just a killing machine, not so dead, not just a monster, but you have some moments of personality, then I feel like it really works, like when he gets drunk or when he's like flickering in and out. So yeah, there's some moments that I don't hate, but overall it's just a lot of character development problems for me.
Favorite scene?
I know.
What are you gonna choose? I can't wait.
I'm going to choose one of the weirdest scenes, because I don't really have a favorite scene. But whenever our stoner guy, he has the pitchfork at one point and he gets thrown out the barn door, but then he falls on another pitchfork. Yes. And he's like, "For me." I thought that was so dumb and funny. And just at that point, it is stoner humor. And I really liked that. That worked. That character, I hated his development and his backstory. Cringe worthy, but he was super funny towards the latter half of the movie. He had some really great one-liners and some moments that I think saved some of the humor in that movie.
I agree. All right, Dave. Oh my gosh, I thought maybe you would like this the most, but I have a feeling this is going to go really south. what is your final thoughts, your score, favorite scene for?
I'm gonna try to keep from ragging on it too badly because I really think that I wasn't the audience for this film. So with that being said, it obviously did not work for me on a myriad of levels. I thought it was not particularly well written. I guess it was directed okay. The acting was okay. Special effects were basically non-existent. So there's just not a lot in this for me. I'm also giving it a 1.5 because I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt that some of the humor was just beyond my perception. I didn't really have a favorite scene either. But the only one that even sticks in my mind a little bit is the opening scene with the hunters when they discovered
yes.
yeah. And just for a few moments, there was a little bit of a glimmer that maybe we were going to see something here, but that went away quickly.
It's always the rednecks getting abducted.
I thought you were going to say the part where the alien says, eat my ass.
Oh, nice.
Oh my god.
But yeah, this just not a lot here. So I'm sorry. I wanted to like it. I would have been in the mood for a good sci-fi comedy about an alien. Just didn't happen. Yeah. It wasn't
no Paul. Paul wasn't a Paul. All right. I like this a little better. I recognize each and every one of the flaws you guys are bringing up because you're right. However, I kind of was in the mood for it. It was kind of silly and it slapstick and but yeah, even the humor had a problem kind of picking like one type of humor it wanted to be, right? It didn't necessarily go all out like an airplane movie, but it didn't quite have a zone. This is our sense of humor. It was a variety of sense of humor, and that might have been maybe that's a product of having so many writers and creative people, in that lead process. But when it worked, I was enjoying it. I'm still only giving it a 2.5. But it's I had a good time. Would I watch it again? I wouldn't be inclined to, but I wouldn't necessarily turn it off if it was on and I had something to do. And because there's going to be a couple scenes where, the stoner humor just I get it. And it's just funny. Which leads me to my favorite scene, and it is going to be our stoner guy who I thought started out weak, but really got strong once they kind of got into the swing of things. And he was really tripping hard and having a good time and drinking the beers and trying not to drink the light beer. There's a point where the three of them, the one guy has darted off, save its own skin. One guy's fallen wayside, which is fine. And then so the three left are finally meet our two hunters, right? The alien hunter girls. And they're getting ready to confront him. That's the only way they can do it, confront him. And they hand him a gun. Like, you look like you can, the smartest one, you can handle the gun. And his response goes, "You're obviously blind." And he hands the gun off to somebody else. And there was that self-awareness and humor that he had that I thought, like Vanessa was saying, often saved the movie. Mm-hmm. Or kept it from entirely sinking for me. And I liked the lead. I thought the two leads had chemistry, and I liked their hem and haw when they would get confronted, like, we know you like him. And he's like, no, obviously, no. And they would have kind of the same repetitive way of handling that response and kind of, dorky and stuff. And I thought that was cute and funny. But it's more akin to a sitcom on TV than a movie. Not necessarily a bad thing. There is a place for that. And it's not in Dave's house.
No. Definitely.
All right. Well, that's our review of Useless Humans. It is, like we said, coming out July 14th. So about, shortly after you're hearing this, it should be out. And let us know what you think. Leave some comments down below. It's I'm eager to find out what other people think of this movie, because I'm not hearing a lot about it, and I do think people, should. Well, am I too wrong to say should catch it or could catch it? Maybe let's reel that back in. Let's reel it back in. Let's say could, and actually find themselves enjoying it, maybe a little more than most of us did. Maybe.
Well, humor sometimes.
No, Dave says no.
Humor is sometimes much more subjective than horror, so maybe some people will it'll tickle their funny bone a little bit more than others.
If this had been 13-year-olds, this movie would have been great. I feel like as a kid kind of alien movie, this movie would have been great, even just as it is, dialogue, everything.
And drinking beer?
And why not? Let's make it a full-on like Stand By Me type thing. I think it would have worked. But,
if the alien was talking like he does in the end credits, this film would have been a whole lot more hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, they were like, yeah. Well, I think we're belaboring the point. All right. With that, Christopher, Vanessa, Dave, my brother Dave, I want to thank you all for joining me tonight.
It's fun as always.
Always. What else would I do on a Monday night?
The world is your oyster, as they say. All right. With that, let's say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
It's back.